Hey you guys, this is Jess with Sourceful Journey back with another video. So I want to do a quick video here, a quick chit chat, why it pays to not be the one who, I guess you could kind of say, follows that whole notion of too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Let's talk about it. So quick story time. As I've shared with you guys in a few of my videos, I'm in a department here within my current company. I'm in the executive department with my current company. So we have a few other levels of leadership beneath, and then we have some that are not a part of our leadership group, of course. There's this one particular individual, and I get it, you know, you want to try to make a name for yourself and all that great, that goodness, that great stuff, if you will. But if you try to make a name for yourself, there's a way you go about doing it. And this particular young lady, I just don't think she gets it. So let me fill you in on something real quick. I'm gonna try to keep this as neutral as possible, of course. But it was something I had to speak on because I just kind of feel for people like this, because I understand when you're trying to make yourself well known, but to try to do it in a way where you're trying to attempt to outshine one of the executives, it's not the way to go. Let's jump right into it. Okay, so boom. So there was an incident that happened within my facility not too long ago. And of course, it was a continuation of that incident that took place into today. I was made privy to the details of what happened, piece everything together. So I sent out an email from the executive department stating, going forward, what each employee needs to do when it comes to this particular scenario, if it should ever arise again. Whenever executives or anyone in leadership of whichever establishment you're in, whenever we're sending out emails, we believe in the notion of less is more. You want to try to keep it as neutral and as less in terms of specifics as possible, as long as they get the gist of what the message is behind the email. That's what matters. And I did just that. I made it so it was condensed, but it hit on the main points of what needed to be conveyed. And for everyone who was tied to it, they saw the department it came from and what the message was, and that was it. What did this young lady decide to do? She decides to write an essay. She decides to piggyback off my email and submit an essay. And it's spewing, it's conveying all the detail that she should not have given out. If anything, it's information she should have given to us being a part of leadership, whether it's just lower leadership or even my department being the executive department. And it blew my mind. It totally blew my mind. I said, okay, this is where that whole notion of too many chiefs, not enough Indians come into play. I totally get it when people are hungry and want to move ahead in some form or another. But to do things like that just because you're trying to, in some way, make yourself known is not the way to go. There's a way you go about doing it when it comes to your actions at work, and that is not the way to do it. And I think the part that kind of tickled me about it, because I remember once being like that, being so hungry for wanting to make myself known in the company I was in, especially when it came to the sales space, because sales is hungry. You have to have that dog eat dog mentality when you're dealing with sales. If you know, you know. Both men and women. So I get it. I totally get that. But there's a way you go about doing it, right? There's a way you go about doing it in such a way where you're not ruffling feathers in the process. And so this young lady came up to my office door. I'm trying not to laugh because it's so funny to me. So it's kind of sad. It's sad. But she came up to my office door like, did you see my email? I'm like, yeah, I saw your email. Then I'm just thinking, like, bless her heart, as the old folks will say. Bless this child's heart. The moral of the story, you guys, anyone, especially for those who are looking to, like, let's say you're trying to move up in your own company that you're currently working in. Or maybe you're in a position where you're getting aligned with a startup company, right? And let's say you're not even in a role of leadership, but you know at some point you want to move up within that company and move up quickly. There are certain do's and don'ts that you want to do in order to accomplish that. Because keep in mind, you guys, I remember one of my old managers used to say this: you are being interviewed every day, every minute of the day. In other words, don't slip up. Another way of thinking about it, the last thing you want to do is try to ruffle the feathers of others who can truly play a huge part in you eventually moving up within that company that you want to move up in so badly. So be careful with that. Because little do you realize, and this is the funny part, while you're doing that, you're thinking this is making you look a certain way. Don't even realize that the approach that another individual took was for a reason, it was with intent. You don't even know what management is saying, whether it's lower management or executive management, behind your back for the nonsense you just did. Overall, it just pays to not be an educated idiot. When you're truly trying to build up a name for yourself, or you're truly trying to build such a strong rapport with others who happen to be in that same realm that you're looking to venture off into someday, there's a way you go about doing it. The fact that she added onto it, that was completely fine. Feel free to add your little bit, especially with the fact that our department wasn't here on the weekend. So yeah, if you have information from maybe when you worked over the weekend or someone else has, please add on. But it's just encouraged that you don't try to circumvent the process, but at the same time, don't try to overdo it when it comes to your approach. Because again, you do come off looking like the educated idiot, and that's the last thing you want to do, especially if you're talking about aiming towards a goal of moving up within an establishment that you're tied to. And that's all for this quick video. It's more, I guess, like a slight little rant, but it's not, I'm not angry about it, but it's just comical. Because I think for me, I can think back to when I first got into corporate, how I was very hungry, but I don't think I did anything like that. I might have been one that maybe in meetings, I might add a little bit of detail just to show what I knew, just to try to stand out. And a lot of times, especially in sales, you find that a lot of team members do that amongst one another, where one guy might say something, but then the other person might say something else to kind of battle it out in front of management, because the sales industry is a different beast. But when you're in various other settings that isn't really aggressive like that, there's a way you go about conducting yourself, and the way she did it was just not it. And I can only imagine what the other executive managers and such are thinking, like, what was that? This is not my problem. Yeah, that's all for this quick video, you guys. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Until next time, I'm definitely sending you guys off with love and light, and I will see you in the next video. Be blessed.